Hi and welcome to another video in my Photoshop Essential Skills series. Everything you need to know to get you well and truly started on your journey of discovery with Photoshop. Now in this video we're going to be looking at how to create an effect like this. It's live text with an image actually in the text that can be moved around. And it's called using a clipping mask. Now don't forget, if you're a fan of the printed page, there is a free ebook to accompany the video. Just click the link in the More section under the video to download it. Okay, let's get started. Okay, what are we going to learn in this video? Well, number one, we're going to learn how to add type to an image. Number two, we're going to look at how to transform type. We're going to look at how to create a clipping mask. And number four, we're going to add a filter to an image. Okay, lots to do. Let's get on. Right, what is a clipping mask? Well, a clipping mask lets you use the content of a layer to mask the layers above it. Now, the masking is determined by you having something or you having content in the bottom or base layer. The non-transparent content in the base layer clips or it reveals the content of the layers in the above. Now all the other content in the clip layers is masked out. So that's what it is. Let's have a see how it works. Now we've got to open an image here, which is my start.jpg. And first I'm going to add some text. And I want this text to be a nice chunky font. So I'm going to click the T for the type tool. And I'm going to select a font. Let's try Impact. Because I know that is quite a chunky looking font. And we'll just click in the image to see how big it is. Well, I want it bigger than that. So we'll pick, say, 72. Well, that don't look bad. And I'll type the word zoom. And that's probably not big enough still. So let's make it a little bit bigger. So I'll go up, and I can't do more than 72 in the drop down menu, but I can type in some numbers. So let's say 100, something like that. And then we'll get the move tool. I'm going to press the V key to get the move tool, and I'll just drag this somewhere in the middle. Okay, now I'd like it to go at a little bit of more of a dynamic angle. So I'm going to transform it. So I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut, Control and T or Command and T if you're on a Mac. And I'm just going to move outside the transform and just drag it round that center point. And then I might just scale it as well, just make it a little bit bigger. Because what I'm going to try and do is get the underlying image in this text. So I'd like it to be a little bit thicker. So we'll just drag it to make it a little bit bigger. And we'll put it somewhere like that maybe. So we've got an important piece. So we've got his head coming through there. And then I'll double click inside to accept it. And that's pretty good. Now to make this clipping mask, I need the text, this text layer, the zoom layer, to be underneath the background. Now initially it won't let me do that. I can drag it as much as I like, it won't go. And that's because this is a background layer and this is locked so that it is always going to be the bottom layer. If I want to change that, I've got to get rid of this padlock, and I can do that several ways. I can just click on it or I can drag it in the bin, and we've now turned that into an ordinary layer. And now I can change the position in the stack. So I can click the zoom text layer and drag it underneath, and it's now underneath this top layer. And I obviously can't see it at the moment. Now it's important that the top layer, this image layer, is active. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to create a clipping mask. Now I can do this several different ways. I can go up to the layer menu and select create clipping mask, or there is a keyboard shortcut of Alt, Control and G on Windows and Option Command G on a Mac. So I can do either of those, but there is a little sneaky way which I like. And what I do is I hold the Alt key down and you hover over the join between the two layers that you want to clip, and you get that little square box with a little bent arrow on it, and that's the clipping mask symbol. And if I click on that, it now clips that text image to the image above. And you can see what's happened, that wherever there is pixel data here, or wherever there is data on the image on the bottom, you can see the image above it. Everything else is masked out. Great thing about this is that it's actually live text, and I can move the image around. It's just like sitting behind it. So if I don't get it exactly right, I can move it around a little bit more until I get it in the right position. That is so cool. Now next, I want to add a style or an effect to the zoom layer, to the text layer. So I'm going to click on that to make sure it's active. And then I'm going to go down and click on the FX icon down at the bottom. And I'm going to add a couple of effects. Okay, so first we'll look at the drop shadow. I'll leave the blend mode set to multiply and black. I'll just put the opacity up a little bit. I'll leave global light set at 30 degrees, and I'll just put the distance up a little bit, and you can see the drop shadow appearing underneath. And you can actually, it's a live thing, so you can actually drag it around to position it where you want. So I'll have it somewhere like that. I think that should be okay. Maybe put the opacity up a little bit. Yeah, that's a little bit better. And then we'll have a bevel and emboss. So I'm going to click and double click in the bevel and emboss section. And let's have a look at this. So we'll leave the inner bevel. Let's have a look at chisel hard. So you can experiment on this and try different settings. But I'd just like a little bit of depth. And then the size I'd like to make bigger. Now if I keep pushing the size up, I'm going to get really weird looking text. I'd like to be able to see something like, yeah, I think I'm at about 9 or 10 pixels, just to give it a little bit of an edge. I don't want the edge softening. Yeah, okay, I'll just soften the edge a tiny bit. And that's okay. I've got a bevel and emboss, and I've got my drop shadow. And then I'm going to click OK. And you can see here now, it's just going to make that text stand out a little bit, because it's a little bit bare on the background. So I'm going to now add a duplicate of the original layer underneath this. And then we're going to add a filter to it to give it a little bit of drama. So I'm going to click first on my layer note, which has got my image in. I'm going to press the keyboard shortcut Control and J, or Command and J on a Mac, to duplicate the layer. And there it is. And now I'm going to drag that layer down to the bottom of the stack. And you can see now that I've got basically a layer with this text layer and the effect on top of it. Okay, so we're cooking with gas. But now I'd like to add an effect to this, to the outside image here, just to separate it a little bit and give it a little bit of drama. And the effect I'm going to use is a radial blur. So I'm going to make sure that my layer note copy at the bottom is active. I'm going to go up to the filter menu and the blur menu and radial blur. Now the blur I want is a zoom type of blur. I'll max that one out at like 100, the amount. And good for a quality is okay for this. And then I'm just going to move the blur center. Now I know it's a bit weird because this isn't a square, and the center of that is in the center of the blur, and this is where the center of the blur comes from. So I'm just going to move that slightly off center, trying to align it up with his head. I know, it's not it's not scientific, but I'm just guessing where I think his head comes if it was a square. And then I'm going to click OK. And here we've got that blur effect in the background, but you can see it's really softened the edges, the transition edges, so it's actually gone into transparency around the outside. So all I'm going to do is just transform that bottom layer, my layer note copy, Control and T or Command and T, and I'll just drag it out till it fills the rest of the frame. And that looks a bit cool. Okay, I'm going to double click to accept that. And now I've got a little bit of an issue at the corner here, so what I'll do is I'll just use the crop tool. So I'll just click on the top image and I'll just crop out that little bit of an edge there. And there we've got the finished article. We've taken an image, We've made a clipping mask so the actual image only appears in the text. We've added a style and an effect to an image, and then we've dropped that image underneath to give it a little bit of background drama, and we've run the radial blur filter on it for a little bit of an exciting drama-filled image. Okay, well that's it for this video. I do hope you liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up or leave a comment under the video or share it with a friend or two. Don't forget to check out the More area under the video for the link to any download files or free ebooks. And please click the subscribe button so when I upload a new video, you are the first to know. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.